let's flip this a little bit here, okay? Let's take KBR out of the equation here. A lot of people have also been talking about, like, the look is really bad, that it's starting to look toxic because of all these people talking smack about KBR. There's been a lot of this, like, just previous to this, there was a lot of smack talk in the anime community to Tenryo involving, like, being a community manager or whatever, like that. There's just a lot of, like, there's been a lot of venom lately, and almost feeling like driving people out of the community and stuff like that. And, you know, FGC is FGC. We've always been very brazen in our conversation. Yeah. We've always been very, you know, upfront about the way we talk. You know, and there's all these talks about going esports and should we be nicer? Should we stop trash talking? Blah, blah, blah. Do you think they went too far? Or do you think it's fine and that's just the way that we kind of are?
I feel like I've seen this a million times. It doesn't feel new in the slightest.
Yeah.
It feels like something that's happened to many people, really. I mean, I'm trying to think of examples, and I feel like going back to, like, when I first got on SRK in, like, 2002, I feel like it was already happening sometimes. Right, like, people would argue online, and online was just this one forum. Obviously, it wasn't like a million, it was Twitter.
Right.
But they would get, like, ostracized from this forum, and then you wouldn't hear from them again. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, first thing that's popping into my mind right now is Watson and DSP.
Okay, yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, drama, calling people out, and such.
So I don't think that there's anything new about that, and it's not even. It's silly to say it's just fighting games. Everybody does. Like, every scene does this.
So the question I had was, obviously not everything got a perfect console port or whatever. Were you forced to play on imperfect ports, or did you mainly just switch things like, say, CVS 2 and Marvel 2 were on Dreamcast because they were perfect?
So that was the nice thing, was that when CVS 2 and MVC 2 came out, the Dreamcast ports were perfect.
Yeah.
The only thing that we had to do was make sure you couldn't pick any of the
Secret
home
bosses.
characters, right? Like, you couldn't pick Orochi Iori, you couldn't pick Evil Ryu.
And you weren't allowed to pick God Rugal or Shinakuma.
Yeah, exactly. For example, you weren't able to play those characters, but outside of that, at least those are accurate. But that is where we had to find the best version of Super Turbo that we could. Ended up with the PS1 version that was, like, not accurate and was terrible, and that was the one that DSP got really high in and beat, like, Watson.
That was that port. I've heard that story countless times. I didn't know what port it was.
Yeah, so DSP beat Watson in that one because things that worked at home, Watson did with Balrog, didn't work on that version, and so he was, like, really, really mad. And it was kind of bringing your own controller, but the other thing that they did was that they provided, they got a company to make a bunch of controllers for us, if I'm not mistaken.
My dishes.
Are there any FGC urban myths? If so, do any have some truth to them? Oh, there are a ton of urban myths out there, I think. And I think a lot of them are probably true.
What do you got?
Like, you know, Mike Watson, like, making DSP cry in an alleyway, I think is probably an urban myth.
But is real? Wow. What a blow-up. What a needless blow-up.
Exposed. Way to go, James. Post more of these urban myths.
There was probably an urban myth. Don't remind me, Richard, who says no American has won Evo yet. Don't remind me. Ugh, man. Well, at least since Street Fighter 5, since Street Fighter 4. Since Street Fighter 4. Remember at Evo 2008, John Choi won CVS 2 and Super Turbo in the same year. But since we went to Street Fighter 4, and John Choi beat Japanese players to do it, Boss in CVS 2 and Nuki in Super Turbo, okay? DSP didn't beat any of the real like, when DSP won Super Turbo, it was on a jank version, and we didn't have a lot of foreign players, okay? But since Street Fighter 4, an American has not won, no. So,